Hey guys, it's Auqium here, and as you can see, I have a bunch of trackers, and maybe you can't see it, so let me bump up my render distance, but I have a ton of trackers, including my own personal design, that only a few people have seen. You guys might not think it's too special, but it's my baby. This is what I use to track over there, and that's what I love using to track. That's what I need to do on like main or something, when I don't want to use as much supplies, and I don't feel like full map tracking, so that's my baby over there. It's my other baby that I mostly use. But we're going to talk about how tracking works and what tracking really is. Now, you need to have an understanding of what tracking is in the game and how it applies to the game. A diamond block is your tracking block. That's where you stand to track. So when you stand on a diamond block, you can do /track all, and it will use your tracker. If you were to track on something else other than a diamond block, like let's say you tracked on a gold ore, and you had it set up like that, not going to work. Has to be a diamond block. Got it? Now, the obsidian counts for 25 blocks in the actual game. You can't actually track on it. Rugga, don't touch my crap. No. No. These count for... Swear to God. These count for 25 blocks in the actual world. So, this is kind of trippy. You have to imagine that this tracker is imaginary. That what you're using is imaginary. It has to be all in your head. It has to be on a coordinate plane. You can no longer think of how far away people are visually. You have to think of them in blocks. So each block will represent 25, including the gold block. And I apologize about my dog barking. I'm going to mute my mic real quick and see if I can calm her down. One sec. Sorry about that. Regular. We're on his testing server right now. Anyway, so each one will be 25 blocks, including the gold block, which is your ending block. You cannot track without it. If you do, you'll get this error message, which is /track all, and it says north, south, and west, and usually on MCPVP, but other servers that might not have it, it'll say east will need to end in a tracking block if you have obby attached to it. And put that away. So what this is called is a vanilla tracker, and I've just made small replications of these, and usually they'd be much bigger. Or you can make them small, it doesn't really matter. This one tracks 250 blocks in each direction, which means if there's a guy 250 blocks that way, I can find him to the closest 25th of a block. So I'll find him to the closest 25, and that applies for each area. Now if you were to make one that is 5,000 blocks long, you can then move the diamond block up, and it's kind of glitching out right now, it's kind of a see-through block. That's weird. There we go. So this one you can then track on here, and it'll narrow the track. Before it was 250, now it's 175, and that's basically just how you track. You just keep narrowing them until it gets smaller, and that's how far you'll know they are away from you. I'll go over that a little bit later. You probably already have an understanding of tracking, and if you really need me to show you how to track basically, I'll make an entire 2-minute video on how to do that. So I guess I'll stick to how trackers work this video. Now this right here is called a horizontal tracker, and horizontal trackers are actually just vanilla trackers that have been stacked on top of each other. What you have to imagine is that this tracker right there, this long arm, is one tracker. Picture that in your head. Completely disregard the fact that there's another tracker right here stacked on top of it, a smaller tracker. They're just two different trackers. So the reason why people use vanillas is to narrow people, and narrowing is when you get the chords to go down really fast, or to generally track someone. It's kind of a slang term. Now, if you're tracking on a vanilla that's going 500, so completely disregard this tracker right here, you would have to do this physically. You'd have to track all the way like that. You'd have to run all the way here. But with a stack tracker, instead of having to go and check if they're there, you can now just do this and check already. So he is there. So then I can just continue tracking here, which narrows the amount of time that it takes for me to actually track. It makes it so much faster. Now, if you were to make 10 stacks of these, it goes even faster. It's absolutely ridiculous how fast tracking can get. And so you'll see these massive trackers like what I have, and these things, that are used to track very, very fast. Now, another type of tracker, which is the exact same as a vanilla, or as that, or as one of those things, or one of those, is called a corner tracker. Now, corner trackers can be any tracker that is divided in half, and they're used to track the corner of the map. Now, I'll go in and show you how to do that on my theoretical tracking video. If you haven't watched it already, I suggest you do. Where to place your corner trackers, how they work, but they track corners of a map, and it makes it so that you can cover a large area without having to track 4 ways. So you would do track all, and this one tracks that way 500 and that way 500, which makes me a nice block. So let's expand it, 20, expand that 20, set glass. Now this is much bigger in the real world, but that's this giant area that I can track, you see? So let's get rid of that. And so this allows you to track a giant square, while other ones allow you to track even bigger squares. So you'll go 500 and 250, just like a vanilla, but it only goes in one direction. Pretty basic. Now, let's move on to different types of trackers. What about a tracker that isn't like that, but it's stacked vertically? Well, that's called a vertical tracker, while that one is a horizontal. The vertical tracker goes up and down, as vertical means. And the way you track with that is you have a diamond block at the bottom, and you warp in like this, and you do /track all, and this is your largest one. Then you go up, track all. Get out of here, Rega. Up, track all. Up, track all. Up, track all. And then once you know where he is on each one, you can then go down here and move the diamond block onto whatever one you want, until you eventually maybe find him right there. If you don't understand how tracking works and you've never tracked at all, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, and I will make a video if you really just are so confused on this, on how to basically track with like a vanilla or something. But that's how the vertical tracker works. You just go upwards instead of sideways or down or something like that. You can also do this tracker upside down and then just mine out like a corridor upside down on this, and then you can go up and like kind of place the block. That's going to be a really weird tracker, not worth it. Now, the inverse of this is an inverted stepped, which means the opposite. So those become the steps and the diamond blocks, and then the center becomes the gold, except for this on each side. And you'll notice the exact same thing as that. It's the exact same, except for you're going to start here. So you're going to go track all, and that'll be 250. Sorry, this is a small version. And it'll go to 200, then it'll go to 125, which I don't know why it just jumped so much. I must have screwed up my tracker. Oh no, I screwed it up right there. Did I? Yeah, I screwed it up like that, I think. I don't know what I did. I did something. Let's check again. Track all. Track all. That's 200. That's 150. That's 100, and then you would need another stack right here just to make it to exactly 50, but you really don't need to, so I'm just going to remove that. It's just an example. So that's a basic inverted tracker. I really like using these specifically for corner tracking because they're really easy to track with. You can just walk up and down the sides with them, as compared to using a horizontal like that is over there. So these are really nice to track with when you're just doing corners, and that's what I'll usually use. Now let's move on to a little bit more advanced trackers. Let's time set 0. Now an advanced tracker would be like a studies tracker. And studies took this idea that you could layer your trackers. And by layering your trackers, you can cut down on the space required to track. And you could then cover your trackers with stone, which before nobody had really done. Whoops. So what this does is you have /track all, 500, 450, 250, 200. Now if this were much larger, you would notice that this actually does it by 500. And when I do my huntslo tutorial in this video, which I'll specifically go over, you'll notice the massive difference in how it allows you to track. You no longer have to run up and down tracker arms, and you can track so much faster. However, this requires almost twice the amount of materials as it would to make a horizontal. Now, after horizontals came out, Huntslo created X and Y tracking, and I'm not sure if he created X and Y tracking itself, or cross-tracking if you want to, but he did design this tracker, where it was Study's idea of double layering it, and then the X and Y tracker. Yes, Pokemon X and Y tracking / track all. Now the way this worked was you had 5,000 here, 4,000 here, 300, 200, 100, but make sure it's multiplied by 10. So you have thousands, 2,000, 3,000s. And then let's say we got him on 4,000, but he was not on 3,000. Disregard the fact that Regablith is there. You would then move to this one, and it would narrow him. Get it? So, how do I explain this? I'll have to make the bigger one. But it allowed you to make this giant gap, and you could then cover up your entire tracker from about right here all the way over to the left on each side. So then all you had was this little room that you were tracking in, and it's really useful. Now, this room is 10 times bigger because this is a tenth of the size replica of a huntslo, and I'll be making a full-size one and showing you how to track with them. But I then took this idea and decided that, what if I don't want a full map track? That I just want to track normally? Well, I designed the Auqium tracker, and it has so much damn diamond. It's about as much diamond as those ones are going to use up. A little bit more, actually, because you're double layering it. And the way it works is it's a huntslo that has been twisted, kind of, to form a normal tracker. Now, another way you can do this is making a horizontal and then just cutting half of it off, but I don't like working with sideways, like slanted trackers, so I just like doing this despite the fact that it wastes 4 extra diamond blocks, but I just like it this way. So you'd go 500, and then you would track each way, depending on where they were. And then you could do the exact same thing that huntslo could do, and you could track like that. So you would do, he's on 200, step up, 150. He's not on 200, he's on 100, step up, 50. If you're actually good at tracking, you'll understand this, but I will be going over this in my actual huntslo tutorial. I hope you guys have an understanding of how these trackers work, and in a few, I'm going to go show you how to build an actual huntslo, and how to actually track with it, and how to full map track with huntslos, and how to corner track with those. See you soon. Alright guys, we are here back at the map that we previously had. I moved it over there, the little flooring, little flower thing, so that I could show you how huntslos work and how full map trackers themselves work. I apologize about any background noise. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not. My dogs randomly bark, but what I have here is the huntslo trackers, which are marked by the blue flooring, the black is the obsidian, and then that final diamond, the gold block. Now, these are not the actual sizes of them. They're not actually 10,000 blocks long. They actually represent the area that they can track. They're actually about 800, no, not 800. They're about 400 blocks long in total. 200 blocks in each direction, which tracks 5,000 to 5,000. So 5,000 this way, 5,000 that way, which covers that entire 10K. And I'm going to explain how huntslos track full map, because a lot of people have told me, you're terrible at tracking, you don't understand how to track, when it's completely quite the opposite. They've told me that you cannot track full map, and they're retarded. Like, you can only track full map if you track the entire map with one tracker. No, that's stupid. They think that you're going to make some giant corner tracker, and you're going to track the full map, and you're going to track spawn, and you're an idiot, because they don't use their brains. So what we have here is redstone blocks and lapis lazuli, so red and blue. Now the red represents the x-axis, so when we go left to right with the x-axis, our x goes up and down. So that tracker there and that tracker there are x trackers. So let's go mark those real quick. Now I'm going to call this one, let's call this one xt1. That's what I usually name my warps for my trackers. And then this one over here will be xt2. Okay? So that's your x tracker 1 and x tracker 2. Now let's do the same over here. When you move left and right on here, your y tracker, your y coordinate goes up and down. So let's name that one yt1. No, this is a z tracker, not a y tracker. Z tracker 1. On an actual coordinate plane it is the y, however in game it is called the z. So let's go over here and we'll label this one zt2. Now this is what I usually keep my warp set at. If anybody was there for the Zixi grief where the guy went through A Curious Panda's homes, they were named after these, and some people might recognize that. So let's explain how the huntslos actually track full map. And what I want you to imagine is these huntslos can slide up and down the map. Okay? So how the tracker works is that you have from here to here, tracking in all directions this way. It doesn't matter. It always tracks up and down that map. It will track all the way to the side. So if we do here, all the way down. No, it's going to be to here. That's the area that that tracker tracks. But what it tracks is not an actual coordinate. It tracks a single coordinate because it doesn't have both ways. What you need to then do is have both the tracker going along here that can track this area because it's going sideways, but then you have to have one that's this way, that's going that way, and that will allow you to track this one. And then you can get single coordinates here and single coordinates there, but you can get both here by using two different trackers. Now it takes up 4 entire warps, or you can have multiple people tracking, which is really useful, because then you can get people's cores in about 8 seconds. That's what I usually do. So let's remove that. Let's remove this gold crap over here. Slash speed 3. And that's how it works. So the way it happens is, let's set that to redstone blocks. Actually, no. Let's set something above that to redstone blocks so that we don't ruin what we're building here. So let's set that, so let's just set 152. So now we have that entire area that can be tracked, but you can only track the X. Remember, red stands for X, so you can only track X's here. But let's say we do the exact same thing, but we do it, we go like 1 to 2. Slash set 22. That's lapis lazuli. But we just covered over this area right here, which now means that we can track both of them. So let's set this to purple, so that's what the combination is. Now, because you have 2 trackers, you can track an entire quadrant. The entire quadrant is now trackable. But the thing is, let me turn off my music real quick. There we go. Music started popping up and playing. Now that you have that tracked, you want to track the other ones. And with huntslos, the more huntslos you make, the better it gets. So let's do / undo 3 and get rid of that entire thing. And now, let's look what happens when you have this entire area tracked, this entire area tracked like this, and then you track this entire area, and then you have up and down going here tracked. And you know what that does? It's called tracking full map. It's really hard to think of, but you have to use a sliding idea. You have to think that this tracker can move left and right, because that's the area that it tracks. But it only tracks one coordinate that way. So you'd need another one to slide left and right to overlap it. Kind of like how another tracker would work. That would then allow you to track the area in between them. If you have all 4 of them set up, it tracks the entire map. So now that I've explained how it works, you'll now see how I can actually do it. I'm going to go move over to the actual tracker, and you'll see in a second. Alright guys, I couldn't find any 5k spots that weren't already taken up by a warp. So, here's my X tracker. This is an entire huntslo. I'm going to go down it and show you what it looks like. I had to build it up in the sky, but this is basically what it looks like. It's double layered, has 2 gold blocks on each end, and you kind of just go along it like that, and it's just really freaking long. And the only usable part of the tracker itself that is needed to be used is from here all the way on over to here. That's the only part of the tracker you actually use. This can all be covered in stone or netherrack, depending on if the server allows you to build in the nether for trackers. So the way that this runs is you have the highest block right here. So we're going to do / track all. And I'm actually going to see if I can track these guys depending on where they are. This is going to track your X, your norths and souths. Oh damn, whoops. So you're going to be here tracking, and what you're going to do, let me take off my coordinates, track all, you're going to go down it, down it, down it, down it. Now they're still on it because they're within 1,000, and the reason they're within 1,000 is because they're at spawn, and the spawn is pretty much the exact same ev. So I could basically do this, and some of them would be off of it. These guys are like /fairy. No, go back. These guys are like /fairy. They don't even notice the giant freaking tracker in the sky, which is really, really funny. Anyways, so this is basically the tracker, and how you track with it is you'd go from here, down, 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 and let's just say that about here, somebody went off the tracker. Like, we had him, whoops, trackball. We had him here, but we didn't have him here. So what we would then do is run up, I believe this one. Yeah, it'd be, no, it'd be this one right here. You would run down from that one. So the one that you lost him on, you're gonna run up, and you would track him from there. See? So you'd go from 2,000 to 2,500 from over here. So 3K, 2,500. You just narrow him that way. It's a really useful tracker. Anyways, I don't really know what else to show you. If you don't understand how to track in person, you just can't track. If you guys really do need that tracking tutorial where I show you how to track, I'm fine by doing it. But a basic way to track with this, and the reason why it's so useful, is because once you're up here, you can then just keep whoops, that's not it. So track all, that's 4,500. Let's get down to 500. So once you come here, you would then go to this, 2750. 275, and you just keep getting closer and closer, and it's really useful. So like you can get all the way to here and you'd be at 2025, and then you don't need to keep going past here. You don't need to go right here. And you want to know why? It's because you already have it on this tracker, because you double layered it. So you can go to, this is 2,000, 1 2 3 4, about like right up here should be, yeah, see, 1,800. So it's completely like just, you don't even need that part. The only thing you need it for is for it to be there. You don't even need to use it. So this eliminates the amount of running up and down a tracker that you have to do. You can track someone in about 8 seconds using this. And an even cooler thing is that if you wanted to, you can move this one up 10 blocks, add another layer here, and make this a four layered tracker. And that's what I had on Zixi. I had four layered huntslos like this, and I literally tracked people 8 seconds per cohort. And then I had a warp, which took 5 seconds, and then I tracked from there on. And I would get banks all damn day. If you go to Striker PvP's channel, every single one of his raids are because of me, because I could track like this. So I know this isn't much. It's just a basic tracker in full size. It took me a while to build it, but I hope you learned something from my tracking tutorial. Like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys learning. People have been messaging me on Skype saying I learned so much, and I love hearing that feedback. If you learned something that you didn't know about before, please tell me in a comment. I love seeing the fact that you guys are learning new things about tracking. See you guys soon.